We begin in the Gemara on the bottom of Ayin Dalad Amud Beis. The Gemara mentioned the union of the man, the inui, vayancha, that it says by the man in connection to the ta'anu and the v'nisim esnav shesechem by Yom Kippur. So the Gemara here will discuss the man. So what does it say there by the man? Hamachilcha man b'midbar leman anoischa. The Eibusha gave us the man in the midbar, but it's an anoischa. There was an affliction with the man. Why is that? So there's a machlokes here. Rabami v'Rabasi. Chadama, one of them explains, you can't compare one that has bread in the basket always available to one that does not. The man was not allowed to be left from one day to the next, and they never had bread in their basket left over. So therefore, in that sense, they felt poor. Chadamar, another pshat is, you can't compare the satisfaction a person has from eating and seeing what he eats to someone that eats and does not see what he eats. In the man, they could taste anything they wanted, but they didn't see what they were eating. Rav Yosef, so Rav Yosef said, Mikan remez l'sumin. From here is a hint to the idea that people that are blind, sha'oichlin ve'ein svein, they eat and they don't get fully satisfied like people that see what they're eating. Rav Yosef is saying this because Rav Yosef himself was blind, as it says in many places. Amar Abaye, Hilkach. So therefore, from here we learn, Man de'isle sudase, a person that has a suda to eat. In other words, not just a snack that he's eating, but he's eating a full suda. Leilech le'ele b'yamamish. He eat at daytime when it's light and he could see what he's eating. Amar Rav Zeire says, My kra, what's the source for this? In a pasuk, Toiv mare einayim mahaloich nefesh. It's better if you see with your eyes than what you have satisfaction in your nefesh of the eating itself, but it's better if you could actually see it. Amarei Shlokish, another pshat that was said on this pasuk, Shlokish said, Toiv mare einayim be'isha, it's better, the taiva of a person that he fulfills by seeing the beauty of a woman, yaisim migufa shel maaseh, even more than the taiva that there is in the act of an aveda itself. Shenema, as the pasuk says, Toiv mare einayim aloich nefesh, that the mare einayim is a bigger taiva than the act of the aveda itself. Other Rishonim say, or Mefarshim say, that the pshat on the Gemara is, like the Rambam, there's a famous Rambam in Hilchas Tshuva that says that it's easier for a person to do tshuva on the Maisa Aveda than just the Yisr of a Mistakel Be'erva, because a Mistakel Be'erva, a person says to himself, I'm looking, I'm seeing things, I'm not doing any act, so there's no Isser involved, and for that a person doesn't do tshuva. So when it says there, Toiv, Mare Naim Be'isha Yesim Mekufa Shel Maisa, it refers to this, Toiv in the negative sense, that it's more effective, it's more powerful of an Aveda, just the Iya itself, more than the Maisa Aveda. The Gemara here brings another pasuk where Ravami and Ravasi argued about the pshat in the pasuk. It says, Ki yitin b'kais einoi, a person places his eyes at the cup, a cup of wine, Yishalach b'meisharim, and he walks in a straight path. What does this mean? Why is he walking in a straight path if he puts his eyes at the kais of wine? Ravami v'Rabasi argued, Chadama, one said, Kol hanoisen einoi b'kaisai, a person that puts his eyes at the cup, and he always, as Rashi says, his love's becoming drunk. So then, Arayas Kulon, all of the Yisurim of Arayas, Daimais Olav Kemishoy. It's for him like a flat land, like an easy thing for him to be over in these Arayas. V'chadomar, another one of them said, Kolanais and Eine Bekaisai, a person that puts his eye into the cup of wine and he gets drunk. The whole world, and Rashi says this refers to the possessions and money of people, are all kemisher, like simple, like it all seems to be permitted for him to take. Another pasuk where Rabami and Ravasi argue, Daige belev ish yashchena. So what does this pasuk mean? Rabami and Ravasi argued about this. Chadamar, one of them said, the way to read it is yasichena midaitoi. You should take it out of your mind. If you have a worry, don't focus on it. Don't dwell on it. Just get it out of your mind. Another opinion was, express it. Talk it out with someone. And then it'll calm you down. So some of Farshim say that they're not actually arguing. It depends if you're talking about something in the past or something in the future. If it's something that's in the past and there's nothing you can do about it right now, so don't dwell on it. Just let it go. Try to distract yourself with something else. If it's something in the future, so then seek someone's advice to help you out. Another pasuk they argued about, it says, V'nochosh ofar lachmai. The snake, the earth, The sand is his bread. Rabami v'Rabasi Chadama, one explained, a snake, even if he eats all delicacies of the world, he only tastes the taste of sand. Chadam, another said, even if he eats all delicacies of the world, he does not become satisfied until he eats sand. Tanya, we learned in the Braisa regarding the snake. Omer Rav Yesi, boy, Yurei, come and see. You cannot compare the attributes of Hashem to the attributes of a human being. Midas basavadam, when it comes to a human being, maknit is chaveira. If you're trying to provoke your friend, you're trying to get revenge at him or whatever it is, yoyred imay lachayav, you'll do whatever it is to go down to his life and to make things bitter for him. Aval, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when the Eibishter comes and gives a punishment, and over here, by the case of the snake, Einakein, it's not this way. Kilal es hanochash, the Eibishter cursed the snake that he's going to eat from the sand of the earth, and what happens? He goes onto the roof, he can find over there sand for himself to eat, he has his food. He goes down below, he can find what to eat as well. So that's one example. Another example, Kilal es Canaan. The Eibishter cursed Canaan. This was after the story that happened with Noach and the curse of Noach and to Canaan. Oichel masherah b'yoichel. So he becomes a slave, and a slave always has what to eat. Whatever his master eats, he gives him to eat as well. V'shoisem masherah b'shoisem, and he drinks what his master drinks. Kilal es isha, similar. The Eibishter cursed the woman after Chet Eitzadas, but Hakol rotzen achreo. Everyone runs after the woman. Kilal es ha'adama, the Eibishter cursed the earth after Chet Eitzadas, but Hakol nizayin imena. Everybody gets their sustenance from what grows from the ground. Now the Gemara comes back to the man. The psukim over there by the man, and this is actually in Parshas Ba'aloischa, where the Yidden were complaining about the fact that they have only man all day and they can't eat what they don't have what they had in Mitzrayim. So there the pasuk says, "Zocharnu es hadaga asher neichal b'Mitzrayim chinam." We remember the fish that we ate in Mitzrayim for free. So what does this pasuk mean? Rav and Shmuel argued about this pasuk. Chadamar, one said dogim, that it means literally fish, that they ate fish there. The Chadamar, another said arayis. The dogim here means that they had all kinds of relationships that were now forbidden al pitayre. As Rashi here says, that dogim is related to the yidgul arayv, when a person multiplies and has children from marital relations. Mandam dogim. So now the one that says that it means fish literally, the chsiv noichal, says they ate it. Mandama arayis, the one that says that it refers to arayis, the chsiv chinam, it says that they got for free. How did they get fish for free? Arayis was for free. Ulamandama arayis. So now the Gemara asks, so according to the opinion that says that it refers to arayis, chsiv noichal, it says that they ate. So the Gemara answers, lishne ma'al yenokat. The pasuk is using a cleaner language. You find that the term eating is used regarding arayis. The chsiv, there's a pasuk where it says in Mishlei, achla, she eats, umachsa, pia, she wipes her mouth, va'amra lepalti oven, and she says, I did nothing wrong, which refers to the union of arayis. According to the other opinion that says that it refers to fish, my chinam. Why does the pasuk say that they got fish for free? How did they get fish for free? The answer is they have a ma'iselu me'hefkeda. They actually did get fish from hefker. How is that? Because the master said, when the Yidden went to draw water, the Eibishter prepared and brought for them little fish in their jugs of water. That's why it says chinam. Now the Gemara continues the discussion regarding these two opinions here. The opinion that says that dogim means fish, but when it came to arayis, all kinds of relationships, there was no breach in that. This is the praise that it says in the pasuk regarding Yidden, that Yidden are like a closed garden, my sister, my bride, and then it says over there, Gal no mayin chosam, the fountain of the Yidden in Mitzrayim was all closed because they were careful with arayis. Omar arayis, but the opinion that says that it refers to arayis, so mayin chosam. Why does it say that they were closed if they were not careful with arayis? So the Gemara answers, Mahanoch the asirin loy peritzi buhu. Those that were aser in that time, even for Bnei Noach, those were the ones that the Yidden were careful of. But things that were mutter for Bnei Noach, the Yidden were not careful with. So therefore, the Pasuk praises them for the fact that they were careful with those that were also for them then. Another question, according to the opinion that says that when the Yidden over here were complaining, they said Zacharnu Sadoga. So it refers to the fact that they were complaining that they once had all arayis of mutter for them. Therefore it says there in that parsha in the pasuk as well, Vayishma Moshe Sa'am Beichel Lemishpachaisav. Moshe heard the Yidden were complaining and crying Lemishpachaisav for their families. And what does Lemishpachaisav mean? Al Iske Mishpachaisav. They were crying about this subject of families that they can't have relations with one another. Shenesra lahem lishkevetzlam, that they're not allowed to be with one another. So therefore it fits into the context of the parsha. When they said Zacharnu Sadoga, refers to the heter of arayis that they had then. And now it's all asa. But over there, the opinion that says that they said Zacharnu Sadoga refers to the fact that they were able to eat fish. How is this connected to what it says afterwards in the pasuk that they cried about the issue of their families? The answer is the Gemara. According to this opinion, we have to say ha v'ha havoi. They complained about both. They complained about the fish that they had to eat. Now they don't have, and they also complained about the issue of arayis, as we see in Beichel Mishpachaisav. The Gemara continues over here regarding those psukim that it says, and we get to the man. So it says, as a kishuim v'sa'avatichim, the Yidden said that in Mitzrayim we had cucumbers, we had the melons. Pasuk says v'sa'chotzer, leek, v'sa'betzolim, and the onions, v'sa'shumim, and the garlic. But these, they did not have them in the midbar. So again, Rabami and Rabasi speak about this. Rabami and Rabasi Chadama one says, Tam kola minim tom mubaman. They tasted all kinds of tastes in the man. Tam chameshes aminim alalu, but the taste of these 5 kinds that are mentioned here in the pasuk loy tomu bay. They did not taste them. Chadamar, another opinion is tam kol aminim tomu. They tasted all the minim. Taimon uma moshon, and not only did they actually taste all the different types of minim, they actually had also the feel in their mouth. They were able to feel the substance of those kinds of minim that they wanted. But v'halalu taimon v'loy moshon. These 5 things mentioned here in the pasuk, they could feel the taste, but not the feel of it, the substance of it. They couldn't feel it in their mouth. As it says in other places, and Rashi brings this halatayra, the reason is because these 5 things are not good for women that are expecting or women that are nursing a baby. That's why the Eibusha did not allow the man to change to this. Which means even though for most of Yidden this is okay for them to eat, but because of this small minority of mothers that can't eat these minim, so that they shouldn't feel bad about the fact that others could and they can't, the Eibusha didn't allow it to change for them. So here the Rebbe points out in the Sikha, here you see how just for a small minority, the Eibusha does not allow their mon to change for everyone else just because of the mothers of the children. So a person always has to realize this, whatever he's doing, to keep in mind even the benefit of even a small minority, and over here the mothers of the little children. The Gemara continues over there regarding the psukim that it says by the man. This is actually in Parshas B'Shalach where it speaks, the Torah describes the man. So it says there that the man was Kizera Gad Lovon, like the Zera Gad, which I saw the translation is coriander, and Lovon, it was white. Omer Avasi, Ogul Kegida. On one hand, it was like the coriander because it was round, but the Lovon, it was also white, Kimargolius, like pearls. Tanya Namiyachi, we learned so too in a Braise. God, what does God mean? Shedoime lezera pishtan b'gevailin. It's similar to the seed of flax when it's in its stalk, which is round. Others say the term God means shedoime la'agada. It's similar to agada. The stories in the agadas. Shemoisheches libay shalodam kamayim. It draws a person's heart like the flow of water. Tanya Edach, in another brayso we learned God, the word God means shemagid lehem li Yisrael. It would tell a story, it would tell the facts to Yidden. Iben tisha lirishin, viben shiva la'achrin. If you had a woman that her husband passed away and she didn't wait to get remarried, and now she has a baby and you're not sure if this is a baby from the first or the second husband, so the man would determine that. If it's a baby that was born ben tisha to the first husband, 9 months after the first husband, or a shorter 7-month pregnancy after the second husband. As Rashi here explains, because in every house, the amount of money that came down was exactly an oimer for whatever was needed for the people in the house. So if this baby belonged in this house, so then the man came down for him as well. If not, it didn't. So this is how you knew where the child belongs. Then Lavan, then it says the man was white. What does this mean? Shemalbin aveniseim shel Yisrael. The man would make the Averis of Yidden white. It would forgive the Averis of Yidden. Tanya, we learned in Abraisa, Rabbi Yossi said, Kishem, Sha'anavi hoye magedlem li Yisrael, masha b'chayrin u'masha b'zdakin. Just like a prophet would come and tell Yidden what's going on by them privately, in the holes and in the cracks. Kach hamon magedlem li Yisrael, masha b'chayrin u'masha b'zdakin. So too the man would come and tell the Yidden everything that's going on in private places. How? Ketzat. Two people came to Moshe Rabbeinu for judgment. One says, Avdi ganafta, you stole my slave. And another individual says, no, atamachartili, you sold him to me. So Moshe tells them, let's wait for the morning for judgment. The next morning, if the measure for the Omer was found in the house of the first master of this slave, so then b'yidua shezeh gamvay. So we know that the second master stole him. The man was found by the first house. But if the measure of man was found by the second master, then b'yidua shezeh machreloi. So then we know, yes, he rightfully bought him and it's his. Similar thing, a man and a woman, a husband and wife, that came to Moshe Rabbeinu for judgment. The husband says, he sarchalai, she sinned against me, she's not faithful to me. And she argues and says, no, who's sarchalai? He's the one that sinned, he's the one that doesn't want me. So Moshe Rabbeinu tells them, let's wait for the morning for judgment. And again, Lamachar, and the next day, what do we see? If we see that her measure of man is found in her husband's tent, by the husband's house, so then biyudua shehi sarcha. So then we know that she's the one that's sinning. He still wants her as a wife. So as far as he's concerned, she should still be his wife. So the man is falling over there. If the measure of her man is found by her father's house, so then we know that the husband is the one that's sinning, he's the one that's not interested in her, and therefore the man, her man that is by her father's house. It says regarding the man in Parshas Bavaloischa, Uveredes hatol ala machne, Yered aman olof, that there was the dew that came down, and then the man came on top of dew. Uksiv, in another pasuk it says, V'yatza v'loktu, that they went out, that the Yidden had to go out and collect the man. So it didn't come down in the machne, they had to go out. Uksiv, and in another pasuk it describes where the Yidden got the man. So it says, Shotu v'loktu, they had to take a walk, a faraway place to go and find the man. So where did the man fall? How do we answer these psukim? Tzadikim yarad al pesach batayim. For tzadikim, the man fell right at the opening of their houses. Beinanim, for the beinanim, yotze v'loktu. They had to go out and find it and collect it. Rishayim, shotu v'loktu. They had to go a long distance to go and find their man. So interesting. Here you see that everybody, all Yidden got the man. Tzadikim, beinanim, and Rishayim. Even though, what's the man? The man is lechem and hashamayim. The man is holy, the divine, heavenly bread. So the Rebbe Nasicha points out that here you see the chiddush of the man, that even though it's lechem and hashamayim, and it remained lechem and hashamayim even after it came down. As the Gemara is going to say more details soon about the man, how the man got absorbed in the Evarim, and it was a holy bread. But nevertheless, the man was for everybody, for the tzaddikim and the beinim and the rishayim. And the Rebbe points out that the same thing is also regarding Torah. Torah is also hinted in the fact that there's lechem and ha'aretz and lechem and hashamayim. That's the difference between the nigla de Torah and pnimiyus ha-Torah. So just like nigla de Torah is the halacha l'maisa that every single yid has to learn and know, so too when it comes to pnimiyus ha-Torah, no one should say that pnimiyus ha-Torah is only for a person that's on a high level. But for beinim and rishayim, for them, they don't have to learn pnimiyus ha-Torah. Here we see that the man which hints to pnimiyus ha-Torah, it's the lechem and hashamayim, is even for the Beinanim and for the Rishayim as well. And when they ate it, the effect of the man that they ate is in the same way. The Gemara continues regarding the psukim that it says by the man. Ksiv, it says in the Torah by the man lechem. that it was prepared bread. Uksiv ugais, it says that it was ugais that they had to bake it. Uksiv v'tochnu, and it also says in another pasuk that they had to actually grind it. Hakeitzat, so what's the story with the man? Was it prepared for them or not? Tzadikim lechem, for tzadikim it was lechem, for beinanim it was ugais, and for rishayim tochnu berechayim. The rishayim had to grind it in a mill. Then the pasuk says, oy dochu b'meducha, they had to crush it with a mortar. What is this referring to? Did they have to do that with the man? So Rav Yudah, Rav Yitayim, Rav Chama B'Chanine, what this refers to is something else. Melamed, it teaches us, sheyared lem li Yisrael limamon, tachshitei noshim, together with the man, came down for the Yidden, perfume for the women, dava shenidich b'macha, the different spices or herbs that are used, that are crushed and are made, you make out of it for the women, to have for their perfume. It says that the man was cooked in a pot. Was the man cooked in a pot? It was baked as bread, we said before. So what does this mean? Rab Chama said, together with the man came down also spices to give a taste to the man. Then the pasuk says in another place, when it talks about the nedavis that were brought to the Mishkan. So the pasuk says, "V'heim eviu elav oid nedava ba'bayker ba'bayker." They brought the donations for the Mishkan in the morning. My ba'bayker ba'bayker. What does this mean? They only brought the donations for the Mishkan in the morning. Rav Shmuel ben Achmeni, Rav Yonasan, midava sheyarad lem ba'bayker ba'bayker. This means that they brought donations from those things that fell, that came to them in the morning. Which means melamed sheyarad lem li Yisrael avonim toivus and margolius and amon. Together with the man, the Yidden received precious gems and pearls, and that's from what they brought the donations to the Mishkan. In another pasuk we see a similar thing. V'nesiim eviu es avnei hashayam. The Nesiim brought Avnei Shayam. So in the Braisa it says, Tane, Nesiim means here, Mamish, literally Nesiim, which means the wind. As we see in the pasuk it says, Nesiim, V'ruach, V'geshamayim. There's a wind, but there's no rain. So Nesiim means the wind. So with the wind, so to speak, in the morning, when the man came down, they got also the Avnei Shayam, Avonim Toivus and Margolius. Says regarding the man in the pasuk, in Parshas Baloischa, V'hoya Taimai Kitam L'shad Hashemen. Had a taste of L'shad Hashem. What does this mean? Omar Rabavo explained, Mashad zeh tinik toim bo kamet taimim. When a baby is nursing from the mother, he tastes all kinds of different tastes based on what the food that the mother eats. Afamon kozman Yisrael oichle moisan. When the Yidden ate the man, meitzim bo kamet taimim. There was all kinds of tastes in the man. It's one pshat. Another pshat, Iked Amri. Others said the pshat in this is L'shad means mamish. L'shed, you read it l'shed, literally like a shed. Ma shed zeh, just like a shin daled. Mishapach l'kame gvanin. He changes in many different colors. He appears in different ways. Afamon mishapach l'kame taimim. So too the man changes to different tastes. It says regarding the man, Vayayme Moshe b'seis Hashem lechem be'erev basa. So then this is in Parshas B'Shalach. So the Eibusha says that in the evening you'll get basar, meat, lechel to eat. V'lechem ba'baykel is bayar, and bread in the morning to be satisfied. So why was this in the night and this in the morning? Tane b'shmei Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha, bos ashashal l'shaleika again, the meat that they asked inappropriately because they really had cattle that they brought with themselves from Mitzrayim. So nitnelem shaleika haigen. It's also given to them in an inappropriate time. It's given to them at night, and they don't have time to prepare it to be able to eat it while it's still light outside. Lechem, sheshal lukahaygen, the bread that was given to them, and because they asked it properly, nitalem kahaygen, so it was also given to them in the right time in the morning. They can prepare it and have it to eat during the day. Now the Gemara says another thing we learn from this pasuk, mikan lom de teira derecheretz. The fact that it says that David is giving them meat at night, so from here I learn the right behavior, shelo adam basar ela balayla, that a person should eat meat only at night time. Frag the Gemara, you should eat at night, a suda. But for Amma Abaye, we quoted before that Abaye said, Haiman isle suda, a person that's eating a suda, leilech le'ele be a mama. You should only eat it during the day. Answers the Gemara, he didn't mean literally only during the day, but ka'en yamama. You should eat it in a time like daytime, meaning if you're eating it at night, it should be with light so you could see what you're eating to be satisfied. Amar Avacha Bayakev, Betchila in the beginning, Ha Yisrael Daimin, Ketarnagolin, Shemenakrim Ba'ashpa. The Yidden, their schedule, their habit of eating was similar to roosters that peck in the garbage, which means the Yidden would eat a snack here, a snack there, without any particular order. Until Moshe Rabbeinu came and established for them times of eating, that they should eat in the morning a meal and at night a meal, as the pasuk there says. Continuing the psukim of what it says over there, what happened to the Yidden when the slav came down. Habasar eidenu ben shineim. So in one pasuk it says that this meat of the slav was still in their mouth and between their teeth, chewing it, and then they died immediately. Uksiv, in another pasuk it says at chodesh yamim, that only a month later they died. Ha keitzatz, what does this mean? How do we answer the contradiction? Beinanim, the average people, la'alter meiso, immediately they died. Rishayim, mitztayrim v'holchen at chodesh yamim, they had pain and suffering from a month time until they passed away. It says regarding the slav, vayishtuchu. What does vayishtuchu mean? So Amar Reish Lakish, al tikri vayishtuchu, ele vayishchatu. You should read it vayishchatu, and they were slaughtered. What does this mean? Malamed, sheneschayvu, seineim, shel Yisrael, shchita. This teaches us that the seineim, the haters of Yidden, which refers to the Yidden, were obligated over here to be slaughtered. Shatayach. Then it says in the pasuk Shatayach. What does that mean? Tana mishmei de Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha. Al tikri Shatayach. Don't read it Shatayach, ele shachut. Read it shachut. What does this mean? Melamed shayaradam liyisrael amamon dava shaton shchita. Together with the mon, they got the slav, these birds that had to be shechted, so they're chayiv and shchita. That's what the pasuk is teaching me. Amar Rebbe, so Rebbe asked on Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha, v'chi mikanat talamed. You're learning it from this drasha because it says shatayach and you're reading it shachat. But v'aloik v'arnemar, it says in another pasuk, v'yamter aleim ka'afar she'er k'choyel ayam and oif kanaf. Until him it says that the Eibishter gave them in the midbar, and one of the things he gave them was the slav, and the pasuk calls it an oif, a bird. So what do we see from this? And Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, Rebbe Yoma, when the Torah says the mitzvah of shchita, v'zovachto kasher tzivisicha melamed shenitztava Moshe. From here, from this pasuk, we learned that Moshe received the mitzvah ala veished v'alakone, that when you shecht an animal, you have to shecht the two pipes. Al roiv echad ba'oif, and by a bird you only shecht one roiv of one of them. V'al roiv shnayim b'behema, and by a behema you have to shecht the roiv of both of the pipes. So you see already in the pasuk that it's a chiyuv to shecht an oif. So the pasuk describes the slav that came down to the Yidden as an oif. So for sure it needs shchita. So you don't have to learn it out from the word shatayach and change it to shachat. Ella, Rebbe says, ma tamud loima shatayach, melamed sheyarad lem mashtichin. So much slav came down, layers and layers of this slav. Ksiv, it says in the pasuk regarding the mon, lechem, describes it as bread. Ksiv, another pasuk as we quoted before says, shemen. It's described as oil. Uksivin, and the third pasuk, dvash, is described as honey. For the younger ones that they needed bread, for them it was bread. Lizekainim, shemen, for the older ones that enjoy the oil, it was oil. Latinoikis, for the little ones, for the little children, dvash. For them it was like a honey, like a candy. Ksiv, in the pasuk it says slav, with a sin. But a karinon slav, we read it, the pronunciation of a sin is like slav with a samech. Rab Chanina says, Tzadikim oichlen oisei b'shalva. The tzadikim would eat it in peace. Rishayim oichlen oisei, the Rishayim would eat it, v'daimelem kisilvin. And the slav that they ate was like thorns in their body. Rab Chanan barov, dalid minei slav ein. There are four types of slav. Ve'elu ein, sichli, v'kivli, pisyaini, and slav. Ma'aliyah de kulu, the best of all of them is sichli. Giriyah de kulu, the worst of all of them is slav. That's the worst quality of this type of birds, is the slav. It's like this little bird. But nevertheless, even though it's the worst of all of them, when you put this in the oven to bake, it blows up and it fills up the entire oven because there's so much fats there. And in order to eat it, you place it on 13 breads. Even the last one, the lowest of all the breads, that's the furthest of the actual bird, cannot be eaten alone. It's only with mixing it with someone else because there's so much fats over there. So for sure the bread that's right near the meat of this bird is going to be extremely fat. That's how fat even the worst of the slav was. Rav Yehuda Rav Yehuda found this slav Beidoni. He found it between his barrels. Rav Chisda Mishtakach Le Beit Zivi. Rav Chisda found it between the wood, in the storage of the wood. Rava had a servant that brought him, the Slav served him this every single day. There was one day, lo yaisi. He didn't bring him the Slav to eat. Omar, so he said to him, what happened? Why didn't he bring me the Slav today? Salik Ligre, Rava went up to the rooftop. Shameli Yanuka, he heard a child, the Kama, he was saying, Shamaiti Vatirgas Bitne. I heard a terrible thing and my stomach is grumbling. Omar, so Rava said to himself, Shmami no noch nafshe Rav Chiste. From here I see that what happened is Rav Chiste passed away. So as Rashi says, Rav Chiste was Rava's father-in-law and he was also his teacher. Ubedil Rabbe achol talmida. Only because of his teacher Rav Chiste did he get this slav every single day. Now that Rav Chiste passed away, he didn't get it. Going back to the psukim that it says by the mon. Ksiv in one pasuk it says Vatal shichvas atol, that the layer of the dew would remove and then the mon would get exposed. In other words, the dew was on top of the mon. Uksiv in another pasuk it says Uveredes atol, that the tol would come down first and then on top of the tol would come the man. What this means is talmul maila, that was dew on top of the man, talmul mata, dew on the bottom of the man. It's like it was packaged in a nice box. This concept is also the source of the minig on Shabbos, the Lachem Mishnah, which is Zeichel Aman, that there's a tablecloth under the challah, and then there's the cover that we put on top of the challah, like the tal. The Torah describes the man as dak mechuspas. It was a thin thing, mechuspas. What does mechuspas mean? Amar Reish Lakish, davar shenimuach al pisas ayad. Mechuspas is a combination of two words. It's something which dissolves, mechuspas, nimuach, and pas means on pisas ayad, on the palm of a person's hands. Rabbi Yechanan has a different shot. Davar shenivla b'masayim v'arbaim mishmeinei varim. Mechuspas is the gematria of 248 because the man got absorbed in the 248 limbs of the body. Frekte Gemara, mechuspas tuvave. Mechuspas is more than 248. Rav Nachman by Yitzchak, mechuspas ksiv, mechuspas, you read it with a vav, but it's written without the vav, and that's 248. Tana Rabbanan, we learned in Abraise, explaining another thing that it says in the pasuk about the man in Tilim, lechem abirim ochal ish. The bread that's called lechem abirim, they ate. Who's abirim? The mighty ones. Lechem shemalachi ashar esayich l'noisei. This refers to the bread that the malachim eat. That's what the man is. Divrei Rabbi Akiva. Ukeshenemru dvaram lefnei Rabbi Shmuel. When this pshat was said in front of Rabbi Shmuel, Amalem, he said to them, Tzu v'imru loi, go and tell him Akiva teisa. You made a mistake in this pshat. Do malachim eat bread? The pasuk says, Lechem lo yachalti, mayim lo shasisi. When Moshe Rabbeinu went up to get the Torah for 40 days and 40 nights, he didn't eat anything and he didn't drink anything. So the malachim don't eat and drink. Elamani mekayim abirim. What does abirim mean? Lechem shenivla b'masayim v'arba mishmayne eivarim. Abirim is the limbs, that it gets absorbed in the limbs of the body. If so, the Gemara asks, Mani mekayim v'yosetil l'chal ezinecha. The pasuk says that when you have to relieve yourself, so you have a shovel and to go out of the machne to relieve yourself. So the Gemara says that's not from the man. That refers to things that they brought from merchants of Goyim. For that, they had to relieve themselves. Rab Lazar ben Prata says no. Even those things that they brought and they had from other Goyim, man mafigan, the man would transform it that even they got absorbed in the Eivarim and they didn't have to relieve themselves. So what does it mean that they have to have a shovel to relieve themselves? That's la'achas shesolchu. After they even complained about the man and they sinned, so then Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Ani amarti yikam malachi asharis. I said that the man should be absorbed in you and you should be like the malachim. But achshav ani matriach isam sholish parsois. Now I'm going to make you go to relieve yourself 3 parsois, because the Yidden were not allowed to do this inside the machne. They would have to go outside the machne, which is 3 parsois from one side to the other. How do we know? D'chsev vayachnu ala yarden. The Yidden camped by the Yarden, mi beisa yeshimois, ad ovel hashitim. Rabbi Baba said about that area, lididi chazili ahu asra. I saw that place, v'havya tlase parsi, and it was an area of 3 parsa. That's how far the Yidden would have to go to relieve themselves. Vetane, we learned in another brayse, keshenifnin, when they had to relieve themselves, ein nifnin loy lefeneim, they would not go outside the machne to the front. not to the sides either, because when they're traveling with the Shechina, they might be going in that direction. So therefore they want to relieve themselves there. And that to go outside the machne, behind the machne. So therefore they have to go many times. If you're in the front, you have to go all the way 3 parsais behind the machne. The pasuk says regarding the man that the Yidden complained and they said, "Va'ato nafsheinu yevesha," our souls are becoming dry. Ein kol, we have nothing other than the man. What was their complaint? What was their problem? The problem was Amru. They said, "Man zeh, this man, asid man zeh, that is asid man zeh. The future of this man is going to be shetepich b'meyayim, that it's going to explode in our stomach." Klum yesh yiludisha shemachnas ve'ena maitze. Is it, could a human being keep on eating and he never has to relieve himself? So they were wondering what's going on with this man that they never had to relieve themselves. Okay, now the Gemara brings back what was said before. Machlekes of Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shmuel. Some take this out. There's a slight difference from the way it was said before. Okay, Rabbi Shmuel, the pshat before that Rabbi Akiva said that the bread of the man is what the malachim eat. So Rabbi Shmuel Amalem, he said to them, Al tikri abirim, he said a different pshat. So over here in this version, he didn't say that the malachim don't eat, but he just said a different pshat. Al tikri abirim ela eivarim. Don't read it abirim, but eivarim, the limbs of the body, which is davash and nivla b'masayim v'arba shmein eivarim. This is the food that gets absorbed in 248 limbs. So now, so what do we do with what it says that they have to have a shovel? This is what they had to eat from what came overseas. Another pshat, when it says lechem abirim ochal ish, that there was a man that ate this lechem abirim. Who is this referring to? Zeh Yeshua. This refers to Yeshua sheyorad loy mon, that it came down for him mon keneged kol Yisrael, as much mon as it came for the entire Yidden. That's how much mon he got. And as Rashi says, this refers to then when Moshe Rabbeinu after Matan Torah went up to Har Sinai. So Yeshua stood over there and waited for Moshe Rabbeinu 40 days. And while all the Yidden went and they served the Egel, so over there, when he was standing there, so he got enough man, as much as all the Yidden had. And that's what Ochal Ish is referring to. It's referring to Yeshua.